Our final reader for this part of the afternoon is Dennis Haskell.
Thank you, Mar. I love the idea that people are here for poetry and no one wants to go to the rugby. It sounds terrific. I'm going to begin and end with some poems about language in one way or another, and I thought I'd read this because Ross Jackson read one poem set in Singapore, which is where this is set. It's called Tapping. My love, that odd window knocking you no doubt remember I never heard till there was you, is simply the tapping of yellow-beaked Singapore birds as they fly from scrawny cats. I hear it nightly, that tapping, sharp in the air. You've gone, and all I hear now is clear and spare, as if everything stood outside me. Sentimental Beatles songs I play soar over flurries of cats and birds. You once said the wish to recapture youth, to tumble over the cliff face of the past, is the first sign of senility. In Singapore's absurd, befogging heat, I want desperately to write you a poem of the scrawniest simplicity, to tap and beak inside you, flown into a language full beyond words. From the flurry of my feelings, from the pit of my life, where I am now as dumb as the animals. And no, don't worry about clapping. Someone else read a philosophical poem, and this is, I think of all my poems as philosophical, but this one's directly philosophical. It's called Chance, a Conversation. Chance, I know that my chances of having a conversation with you are slight, at the very best. I know it's no use taking exception to your presence, but what on earth are you doing in this life? Your place seems so arbitrary, and if we could sit down together, I know the talk would be hopelessly haphazard, since you know no bounds, and anything could leap to anything else. Love could lead swiftly to gardens, to garbage. A line of poetry might read, coal adrift, morshy, roll-ti-da. There are those sure your heart belongs to Dada, but you know its heart belongs to you. So around the world we go on a marvellous, maddening, richly frustrating excursion in which go is only occasionally distinguishable from woe. Some think you are not the ultimate in godliness, which you find a glorious joke. You who know no meaning best. Only when we get to death, a subject in which you have a role, we part company. You say, in the end, that's the topic which is for you, but is not for me. And this poem is, I thought of reading because of a couple of Gary Di Piazzi's poems about women, about his wife. This is, I wrote this for a friend who actually has died now, quite young, but the time she was worried about turning 40. And I was telling her not to worry about it. She said, this is not so bad for men, it's worse for women. It's called To a Friend. So here you are at 38, with that magic number just over the hill, the state of singleness with the lumber of being female to boot. I've never thought of its meaning. Too late now to recruit new eyes, new accent, a gleaning of possible social charms, a new self, a new style of thought, of walking, from norms of tough femininity, while the curt hands tick over, more constant than any lover. So close to 40, you have become the one you were bound to be. A grim awareness has begun. Life is merely what it is, an edgy chance direction without the elegant fizz of justice. The selection of happiness or doubt is in us. There is no feat of love. Life dishes out what we must cop sweet. But time, like beauty, lies in the intelligence of the beholder, tries to have flesh become sense. So down to earth, so real, you are more beautiful than any 20-year-old can feel. What will be dutiful to youth, its confidence fraught with a fragile prettiness in eye, in gesture, in thought? Imagination must finally confess a love of such elegance as you unfailingly possess. And this poem is about language in one sense. It's probably unintelligible. It's written to a large extent in rhyming slang, and it's called, I'm not great on titles, but this one actually has two titles. It's one of the titles is Memories of Youth. Everyone knows that youth is not so much spent as misspent, and I misspent mine in sort of pubs around and golf clubs around the working class suburbs of Sydney. And this is a recounting of a number of the people I knew then. They're not nearly as exaggerated as you probably think they are. So it's called Memories of Youth, or How I Racked Through Modernism and Rediscovered a Dinkum Lingo. I remember, too right I do, old Bill, Wild Wolfie Como, how he stumbled on his words, his thick tongue stuttering like a stump-jump plough back in a time of pounds and shillings and copper. Whatever happened to Saturday Arvo with its clubs, its dunny-tailed pubs, its beer? How fast that wireless and fly-sprayed world come a cropper. Were they ever quite real? Carrot-top Cole, who bunged it on at Bondi because Noah's Arks give him the horrors. Half-tanked to imagine Finn's sought his head. All at once came all his tomorrows, and he'd come the raw prawn until dawn, and he Bert, the galah, would pause quietly, then do his block instead. Bert on the outer with his cheese and kisses, and the SP Barber Bob sliding down the drain over horses and dogs. Saturday Arvo, its mess of mates with sentimental dinners and heaps of unpretentious friendliness. You couldn't have called it a milieu or spoken of camaraderie. Rough as guts Ray, butcher's hook each day from the night before, would see you'd have it for poofter talk. Just for starters, he'd use your guts for garters and abuse any la-dee-da up your Khyber Pass interest in words or dance or paint. He'd have done me like a dinner, his bloody oath. Battlers become bottlers, their no-flies on them lives were full of he'd-haves and gunners. Outside the grog, no plonk, were only bets, the magpies and cricket. Whether they miss it, I don't know, but know that only now and then I'm curious to strike a light on that sad, amber-glazed, womanless world, dig a grave, don the bag of fruit and shoot through to that beer and biscuit land where stone crows struck pink, sure as eggs, gored struth, shamble around still. Fudge flashes a rat, gold-tooth yarns, as high as yesterday, Jober as sudges before the flattening future. And lastly, a poem which is largely found. I've been to Hangzhou in China a few times, and I once stayed in a hotel called the Marco Polo Hotel, and the poem is framed with my words, and the rest actually I just picked up. At the Marco Polo Hotel. When Marco Polo went to Hangzhou long ago, he had beauty and bewilderment to go. Now he can rest in a hotel that tourism feeds. It is especially designed to meet you all needs. Located in the luggage desk, we provide you with the service of transportation and savings for free. We are not responsible for any loss or damage while you are checkout. If you are stolen, call the police. Satellite TV channels are available for details. Please refer to your TV program. The water from the gap in the bathroom cannot be drunk directly. Café Le Méditerranée. It is located on the 17th floor. To enjoy the best beautiful panoramic view of West Lake while savouring typical local tidbits, this is a real life. Each floor equipped with modern fire prevention system. Please does not move casually except emergency. Civilization does not reach for the sky, neither do we. No encounters with members of the opposite sexes in the rooms. That is what the lobbies is for. Guests are invited to take advantage of the chambermaid. Be prepared for danger in times of safety. We have only one earth, just like we have only one pair of eyes. And at every turning, then and now, Marco's and your eyes meet mischievous surprise. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.